today.
I'm so excited to be here.
I know, Marla, it's so fun. So Jeanne and Marla and I are here today, and we are going to talk with you guys about everything you need to know on hiring a marketing virtual assistant. Marla does not currently have a marketing virtual assistant, but she does have 2 virtual assistants, actually 3 now, right? 3. So she went through our program, but decided her first hires are actually to get work off of her plate for her other businesses. And then she's getting ready to work on a webinar and for her Done With You program, where she actually helps you either create a course from scratch or reconstruct a course that you already have to optimize it to make sure that your students who go through your program or your course are getting excellent results. Marla's got lots of experience with virtual assistants, and we're just thrilled to have you guys here. So I want to kind of start this conversation off with Jeanne talking a little bit about her story, because it's been almost 15 years since we started outsourcing overseas. So we joke with people when it comes to hiring a virtual assistant or marketing virtual assistant, if it could be done wrong, like we did it, right? It was like baptism by fire, and we learned a lot. And that's kind of how we ended up creating structure that really worked and being able to help so many people actually hire the right virtual assistant. So Jeanne, do you want to kind of talk about what that was like for you?
Sure. Yeah. When I started my marketing agency, it was the first business I ever started on my own. I worked for MTV Network prior to that and some national ad agencies and things, but it's a very different ballgame working on your own. Thankfully, I had Kristen guide me along, but yeah, it gets to the point when it's just you that your business grows, then your workflow grows, and then it gets to a point where that's it. You're done. There are no more hours in a day. And I swore to myself, there must be a better way to get more organized, or there must be a way that I can make this flow faster or better. And the reality was no, there wasn't. I just wasn't doing anything wrong. There just weren't enough hours in the day. So Kirsten and I talked, and then we found she did some research, of course, because she loves to research everything, and found out that there were these amazingly talented virtual assistants in the Philippines who were excited and anxious to work for American companies. So we did our due diligence and we hired them. So I was actually at that time, I was doing social media marketing, website design, email marketing. I was actually able to have them help me with some of my client work, which I thought there's no way anybody's going to be able to do it like I do it or as well as I do it. Not that I'm perfect or amazing, but I like things done a certain way. Well, it turns out that you can hire people who are very talented, and they may not do it exactly the way I did it. Sometimes they do it better. So it was just an amazing experience. And like Kirsten said, I'm really good at documenting everything, between the two of us, figuring out the best way to find the right person and then hire the right person and keep the right person has been something that we've just learned over the years.
And I think the awareness of knowing that as an entrepreneur, we are big picture thinkers. Like I am not very good at a daily checklist, and I know what I want it done like that because my systems are very detailed, but I'm not very good at keeping up with that. So I need someone to support me that is. And I think that's true of a lot of entrepreneurs, is that we need an aggregator or someone that can hold us accountable and keep us on task and away from shiny things and keep us a little more focused and dropping balls. And that's what mine do for me. And I love them.
Yeah, it's so fascinating because like Jeanne still owns her marketing agency. So I still have my one-on-one coaching practice. At the time when I was helping Jeanne, I still own a mortgage company and a title company and other things. But right now I have my coaching business, and she still has her full service agency. Well, almost all of her work for her agency clients is done overseas by her team, right? And so, went from something where she didn't think that they could do that kind of work to now that they do all of that work. So Jeanne's putting out proposals and she's managing her team. And it really is amazing. And Marla, I think what you just said about having, I know it sounds crazy to people, but we hear this all the time. When I hired my marketing virtual assistant, it forced me to get more organized. Yes. When I hired my marketing virtual assistant, I had to stay ahead of things because I had to give them work to do. When I got my marketing virtual assistant, it was the first time I really felt like a business owner, not just someone who had created a job for themselves that was running themselves into the ground. I felt more confident. Like it was amazing to hear these things. And we don't think about how isolating it is to be an entrepreneur, right? You're wearing 100 different hats. A lot of them you don't want to wear. You're not really great at those things. And then it takes away from the time of you doing what you love doing. And so I think it's the key to building a successful business. And Marla, so you have 2 virtual assistants that work for separate businesses. You have a vacation rental business and then kind of an entertainment or catering kind of business. And now you've hired a virtual assistant who supports both of them. Is that correct?
Right. The vacation rental business I had for 10 years, but everything was in my head. So when I hired Nika, my first virtual assistant, I had to make sure I had all those systems out of my head and somewhere that someone else could follow. And then I did the same thing when I hired Charmaine for the catering and the restaurant, which are kind of one. They're two entities, but only one. And she and I spent 2 months getting systems out of my head and putting them into a systemic process that someone else could follow. And now we have multiple teams that operate in a very hierarchical way that have lots of checks and balances and just work amazingly. And what's even more amazing is this, to me, is just, but I have these two businesses now and these two virtual assistants from the Philippines, different areas, and they have these systems that we're following in each of those business. And then the third person, Liza, that I just hired, Nika and Charmaine, are training Liza. So I don't even have to do that. For me, it's huge.
Right. I love it.
I sent a message today where I sent an owner for a reservation some money, and I put the booking date as November 2022. So she sent me a message. She said, I think this date might be wrong, right? She was really, really kind about it. And I said, oh, I'm so glad you're checking it. That is exactly what I need you to do, is to just be someone who's really attention to detail and understand what we're trying to do enough to know. Like, when I had a reservation cancel, and so she sent a message to Nika and me and said, this person canceled, just making sure you guys know it. And Nika's like, yep, got it. So the communication, and we have our own CRM system because they work in different hours. Charmaine works at my day, Nika works part of my day and her day, which is my night, and Liza's kind of doing both as well because she's helping both of them. And we have a system where we leave each other messages that we're not texting each other all night. So amazing.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's really interesting because I think with most business owners, creating the structure to manage is the hardest part, right?
It is.
Yeah. And when Jeanne and I first, I joked that she was kind of the guinea pig, because I had teams of people that worked here in the US, and I'd read all these things about hiring overseas. And so when I kind of brought this up to her, she's like, oh yeah, let's try it. I'm like, yay. So we got into it and we just learned a lot. But what we realized over the years, because I've helped other clients hire virtual assistants, my one-on-one client, and the challenge is most people are not like Jeanne, and they're not like you, Marla, where they really are great at documenting and kind of creating those kind of systems. So when we decided to kind of create a program that helped people hire virtual assistants, we were kind of thinking, okay, well, what is the biggest thing that people need help with? And it almost always boils down to marketing and lead generation, right? And so that was Jeanne's expertise. I mean, she's definitely a marketer, has been doing that for ages. So we decided to help our clients hire what we've coined as a marketing virtual assistant. And that allowed us to create all the structure for them. So one of the things that we love about our program is we've all taken programs or courses where it feels like a full-time job, right? We didn't want that for our clients. The whole purpose of outsourcing and then taking advantage of automation is so that you work a lot less, not more. And so the beautiful part was we were able to put together all the structure. So all the documentation that you were just talking about, spending 2 months putting together for the restaurant and the catering business, we've already done that for the marketing virtual assistants. We have the complete training portal for the virtual assistants so that they're also trained on all of the structure and how everything works. And I think that was really huge because we've heard so many of our clients say that once they work their way through our structure, it allowed them to create structure for their virtual assistant to do other things for them. And sometimes I think that's all we need is a map, right? If you see what someone else has done and you're like, oh, that's how they organize that workflow. That's how they are utilizing project management software. Oh, this is how it, yeah. And this is how it feels good to go through this process. Now I can create one of my own about something else. And so just having that new skill set of being able to emulate, to be able to, like you said, get all this stuff out of your head and create a structure for other things. And that's one of the things that I think has really been another surprise for us, is that people like you, and we've had Daryl, we've had a couple other people who've hired virtual assistants, looked at our structure and said, oh my God, that's how I do this. And then have created structures for completely different job descriptions for their virtual assistant. And that is exciting to me. So when Jeanne and I talk about like hiring a virtual assistant, so there's several parts and pieces to that. And the first one is having a process to make sure that you are hiring the right person. And that's something that we spend a lot of time on, because if you get that part right, everything else is a lot easier. The second thing is like really having an onboarding and training process, which again, for our clients, we give them all that. It's already done for them. We train their virtual assistants and onboard them for them. And then the last thing that we're just talking about is the workflow, the project management of making sure that everything gets done so that you're not spending a lot of time. You're very efficient. You go in and you see what they've done. You check off, you sign off on the posts that they've created, you sign off on the video that they've edited, and then they go ahead and schedule it and get things done. So it's interesting because, like we said, this was baptism by fire. Every time we learned something new, whether it was good or bad, we documented that process, right? Like, this didn't work and this is why. What if we tried this? So when we talk about having a very detailed process. Jeanne is the absolute opposite of me. I mean, she details things step by step by step. It's been amazing at this. It's the same process as creating structure for workflow, right? It's looking at what worked, didn't work, and then how do you make it what it needs to be in order to get the end result. For us, it's about our client hiring a marketing virtual assistant who is like the ideal team member for them, who will stay forever with them, and who is very well trained and gets all of their marketing done so that they can start generating more leads and closing more business. The other thing is very much like hiring or training, you have to take out a lot of things. I think when you first start having a virtual assistant, like you want to teach them everything. And the reality is you can't do that. You got to teach them a little bit at a time, right? And build on that base of knowledge.
And I love when we train our virtual assistants and they understand the process. We have them create content and repurpose the content. Then some days it's like Christmas. You wake up and all of this content has been created for you. And it's like, oh, it's beautiful. I love it. Now I can schedule it out. And it just takes that monkey off your back or those anchors that are holding you down. I'm not creating enough content.
Well, and that's what Kristen and I were talking about that the other day, or it was earlier today, that I really want to spend more time working on courses, which is why I need my virtual assistants to take more off of my plate with these other businesses so that I can do more of this and spend more time doing that, because it's really what I want to do.
That's awesome. You want to talk a little bit about more what virtual assistants can do?
So like I said, Jeanne, I guess we kind of coined the term marketing virtual assistant a little bit. We can hire a virtual assistant to do just about anything. Like Marla's got, like, she's great examples right there, helping her with her vacation rental business, helping her with the restaurant and the catering business. There's just unlimited things a virtual assistant can do for you. But for us, what our clients really needed the most help with was marketing. And since that's what we know really well, that's what we enjoy teaching, it was really easy to create structure for that. So when we talk about a marketing virtual assistant, here's what our clients have their virtual assistants do for them. First of all, we really encourage you to have original content. So content marketing is a big player these days, whether it's SEO for YouTube or SEO for Google. If you're not creating content, you're losing ground, right? So content creation is all about putting out great content. It does a couple of things. Not only does it help with SEO, but it also helps people get to know you. They can build like and trust with you. And for that reason, we love video marketing, but it could be a blog or it could be a podcast. So our clients generally utilize YouTube, and their virtual assistant does all of their video editing. That means they're pulling the B-roll, which is video clips or imagery that gets used on the videos. They actually transcribe the video. They upload the video. And heck, we've even had clients who didn't even have a channel. So the virtual assistant made out a channel, started their channel for them, put all the artwork at the beginning on the header image. So your virtual assistant can do all of those things. They can then schedule the video for what day you want it to go live. Now, what's amazing about creating pillar content or one piece of original content each week is that content can then get repurposed. So the virtual assistant will then set up that video to go out to your email list. They'll use that video to pull little micro clips that can be used as teasers to get people to YouTube, but they can also pull out larger clips where it's like a one talking point that can stand on its own, so to speak. And that can be used LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, wherever you want to use it. Same thing with quotes. Like if you said something that makes a really good quote card, they can do that with it. They can also then take that transcription and clean it up, and they can use the artificial AI. They can use like a copywriting AI software or a content writing AI software to help them clean that up. So they can clean that up, find images, and then they can actually convert that into a blog post on your website. So when we talk about having virtual assistants that can do a lot of things for you, the other thing that I think is really, really helpful is the fact that your virtual assistant can do things like help you with your lead magnet. So let's say you created the lead magnet that was like the top 10 things you need to do if you want to sell your business in 3 to 5 years. And so you write what those top 10 tips are. Then your virtual assistant can lay it out and design it so that it's a lead magnet so people can sign up for it in return for their email address. And that's something you would use as a call to action. So let's say I had a channel I help people buy and sell businesses. My video might be talking about how do you get the most for your business. And then I might say something like, hey, if you'd like to know more, here are the top 10 things that you can do to prepare your business in the next 3 to 5 years. It's a guide that I created. It's free. And I'll put a link in the description below for my video. So having a virtual assistant who can lay that out, design it for you, upload it to your software, put your funnel together for it, test your funnel, make sure it's working, means that all you have to do is come up with a great content for your lead magnet. And then if ourselves on video talking about certain things, but other times it's the slides that we have, or in some cases, Jeanne actually doing walkthroughs of automation technology. But what happens is we just write the content for our slides. We hand them off to the virtual assistant who lays them out, designs them so they look really nicely, puts them together. And then Jeanne and I are in a position where we will make 1 or 2 changes here and there, but then we're ready to record them. This makes getting your course done exponentially faster, and it allows you to make changes more often. So if you're like, hey, something changed, I need to pull out these 4 slides. Here's what the new copy needs to be. Please replace those so that I can get this part re-recorded. It's really amazing when you think about having a marketing virtual assistant who is really great with things like Canva. They're really great with layout and design. They're fantastic at editing. And here's where the magic happens. They love doing these things. So for me, like the things I would hate to do, like I don't want to log into Canva. I would hate that. They love doing it. This is their unique genius. This is their happy place. So not only are they doing all these things that you don't have time for, or that you don't want to do, they're doing them with a happy heart and joy because it's what they love doing, which frees you up to do what you're great at doing, that you love doing. And I think that's truly very magical, in all honesty.
And I think going through the process that you have set up to make sure you are asking the right questions and seeing the evidence of what these applicants can do before you hire them, help you hire the right person. Because we all know that we create this job description that we want to find one person for, but it's not always that easy. I mean, different people, you might find someone that you really like and want to work with, but they just don't have the skill set. And that happened to me. Remember the first virtual assistant I hired? I adore her to pieces and I trust her immensely. But what I learned was I needed her to have catering experience and have that background to be able to speak that language to my kitchen team. And I just thought she could figure that out. And it was just too much. It was too much for me. And so, would I hire her to do something else? Sure, because I adore her, but I just hired the wrong person. And so I think that's the other thing, is a lot of times people kind of get hung up on what if it doesn't work, or what if they don't, how do I know that they can do all of those things? Maybe you don't, but you'll figure it out. And then if you need to make a change, you make a change.
Yeah, I think that's so funny, because that leads us to one of my favorite questions. And I think we actually have a video on our channel on this. It's like all about, how can I hire someone I can trust, or how can I really find this person? And it's really hard to have this conversation with people, because I think most of the time it can be very offensive. A lot of times, Marla, because I think I've said it to you early on in our program, it's not as much about finding the right person, it's about you becoming the right person as a boss, right?
Yes.
At a core level, even when you hired her because you liked her, not because she had enough skills, right? So that was a decision you made, and it could have gone the other way. It could have worked out brilliantly if she could have quickly learned the terminology. It could have been a win-win. But the reality was, at the end of the day, you knew you hired her because you liked her and connected with her, but you wish you had hired someone who had more skills there.
Right.
And we've done it too, not just in the beginning of our careers. I think I did it like early last year, right? I think that this is one of the big things, is that people often come in thinking, how do I find someone I can trust? Or can I really find someone who has those skills? Or can I really find this or that? And the reality is, you can, but it is a process. And if you follow the structure, you follow the process, because you are hiring for a very specific job when you're working with us, and that's a marketing virtual assistant. So we have questions you need to ask. We have all the things that you need to know. Like we're taking all this knowledge that we learned over years and putting it together so that you can interview the way we interview, exactly how we interview now, and you can get the right person.
Right.
We do also talk about the emotional triggers of wanting to hire someone because you want to help them, or wanting to hire someone because you just really connect with them, even though they maybe don't have the right skills. But I think then what happens is, it's the structure around hiring and managing them. And we've been really lucky, because we've been able to have some really great conversations with virtual assistants who work for us, or who do work for us, and who work for some of our clients. And one of the questions that I've always wanted to ask, and I've been able to ask quite a bit in the past, I'd say 16 months, I've probably asked a dozen people now. One, how many of your clients were male compared to female? Almost all of them said, all are bosses. All of the people who had employed them were, right? So the very few women who hired them, very few of them had experience working with women. But if they had, they always said they liked their female boss a lot, right? So if they being hired by a female, this was the first time for them, I always had to ask them, what was your difference in experience? What has happened since you've been working for us or for our client that has been different for when you've been working for other people? Because I realize a lot of these people, even if they're young, 26, 27, 28, they've often been working online since they're 16, 17, 18. So they've got years of experience working with people in Australia, the UK, the US, Canada. So they've got lots of experience. But I think because men are more likely to outsource overseas than women, the majority of them have worked for men. So here's the feedback we get. One, there's so much more structure. The training I get so much training. I feel like I've got great support. I feel like if I bring my ideas up, they're valued and appreciated, even if it's used all the time. Like I feel like I can bring something up and then I get an honest feedback, like that's really great, but it's not time to use it. Or let me think about that, but I don't think it's right for these reasons, right? So they love that they get that feedback, and they love that they're often asked, what do you think? We're getting ready to launch this new marketing campaign. These are all the things that are going to happen. This is a timeline we're thinking. What do you think? So they often tell us that their male bosses who have hired them just kind of throw tons of crap at them and then are unhappy when they don't get things done or they don't reply and answer questions for days on end. So for them, I feel like getting hired by people that have structure and there's a training portal to train them, I feel like it's such a win-win because they're happier. Like they have a job where they're working for someone who truly cares about them, who has spent time investing in themselves as a boss to learn how to hire, to have structure set up, to make sure that they're well trained and to be able to be a really good boss. And so they're just happy and they stay for a really, really long time. And I think that's what's so powerful about creating structure. And it's like you said, Marla, when you came to within our course, you didn't end up hiring a marketing virtual assistant right away because you can't pursue, your course creation of helping people create courses until you got some of the work off of your plate from these other two businesses.
Right.
But you created structure and you ended up letting go someone that you needed to let go of. You hired some other people, you trained them, gave them the support. You actually hired them another person now to take over workflow for them. So now you are in a position where you can focus on helping people create courses and hiring a marketing virtual assistant to help you get in front of people who need your help in course creation.
Right.
And that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's like this total win-win all the way around.
And I'm in a similar situation because I'm about to actually hire two more for two different purposes. And they're not completely the right person that I'm looking for. So it forces me to think about what is it that I'm asking of them and what is it that I really need. I mean, maybe the reason they're not the right person is because I have too much in my job description. Like I'm looking for too many different types of personalities. So you can't have like a web design, Shopify store, SEO, Excel. I mean, you might not find one person that has all of those. So I'm having to kind of look at who has what I need and what is it that I'm going to need specifically for them to do so that I can kind of gauge what that position might even be. Because it wouldn't be a full-time position. So that's where I'm struggling right now.
So that brings me to the question that everyone's thinking, how much does it cost? How much is it going to cost? Right?
Yeah. So using the example of what I talked about with a marketing virtual assistant who could edit the video, repurpose it, do all of those things can be done in about 20 hours a week. And so that means you're hiring someone part-time. So 20 hours every week, you would pay about $200 per month. So $200 a month to have someone as a marketing virtual assistant to do the things that we've talked about. Now, some of our clients do hire part-time because they just want that one video done and repurposed. Some of our other clients actually hire full-time because they know they want to generate quite a few lead magnets, or they know they want their virtual assistant to put together the PowerPoints for a course or a program that they're working on, or they know that they want their virtual assistant to do some marketing for even another business. We have that happen from time to time. So it really just depends. If you wanted someone full-time, 40 hours a week, you're looking at about $400 a month for the job that we describe. Now, if it gets more technical, what's that?
That's what I pay as well for my free. And I pay commission on top for Nika and Charmaine because I have given them more responsibility. So they have earned more. But I mean, Nika has been with me a year and Charmaine's been with me 6 months. And I've given her a lot more responsibility because she has the experience. She has the level of standard that I'm looking for to kind of, I don't have to manage her. And so I give them a base salary with a commission based on whatever it is we're producing during that pay time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's one of the things we talk about in our program is price. Like, what do you pay and what things do you need to do to keep your virtual assistant with you? Like, once you get the right person and they're well trained, what do you do to keep them and to maintain them? And we do talk a lot about doing a bonus structure rather than raising salaries, because maybe your business is booming this month, so you give them a really nice bonus. But next month, if for any reason you had a dip, like, you're not obligated to a higher salary. So we talk about a lot of those things. But I think it's fantastic, Marla. And I think the number one thing that you did for your virtual assistants was hire another person, right? Realizing that the workflow was so much, and then also timeline, there was hours of the day that needed to be covered. So you didn't have to be the coverage, right?
Yes.
And so, so I want you to think about this though, but before you were doing all of that work, you've replaced yourself with 3 people to back yourself out of all of the stuff you've been doing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I mean, I don't know how I did it all.
We have a video on this on our channel. Like, is it ethical to hire overseas? And this is actually a story that happened for one of our clients. And she is a professional organizer and a mom. So she was organizing, and of course, she's very well organized. So she was running her organizing business. But what would happen is she would get busy and stop marketing. And then after those projects were done, she would go back down, get busy, market, and then get busy. And so she was trying to find a way to avoid that. And the question about, well, is it ethical to hire overseas when I could hire someone locally? And we always say, like, a lot of times what we see over and over and over again again is people hire overseas, but then their business gets a lot bigger and they're able to hire locally. And that's exactly what happened to her. Once she got her marketing virtual assistant up and running, the marketing was going well to the point where she ended up hiring 2 more organizers right away, and then eventually a 3rd one. So she had so much organizing business going on that not only was she organizing part-time, spending time with her kids and managing her virtual assistant, she had 3 other professional organizers out there doing client work. So if she had not taken the time to hire someone overseas to help with marketing, she would have never been able to employ these 3 ladies. Same thing right now, we've got an interior designer who has 2 designers working for her and needs to hire a 3rd one, right? She went a little bit a different route because she actually hired a marketing agency to do those things. And she definitely pays more than the $200 to $400 a month, but the end result is the same, but she hired in the US. And that was the best choice for her because she does not have the bandwidth or the interest or the desire to manage a marketing virtual assistant. She doesn't enjoy it. She doesn't want to do it. So an agency was the right way to go. So it's never one size fits all, right?
And I can add to that because when I hired Charmaine to help with the catering and the restaurant, we literally tripled that business. So that allowed me to hire more people locally. I live in Mexico, and Isla Mujeres, Mexico. And so in the restaurant, we're reconceptualizing our restaurant due to COVID. We're pivoting in a lot of different ways. So because I have her sort of aggregating the big ideas that I have, she's able to manage all of that and kind of manage the touch people and the projects so that I can hire more people and give more jobs. It's created more jobs for my local people, and it keeps them working. When the restaurant was closed down for whatever reason, we were able to keep working. So we've scaled 3 times what we normally do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you. Again, thank you so much, Marla. We always love having you here. And yeah, I'm Jeannie, that's Kristen and Marla, and we will see you all very soon. Bye.